Anyway, let's get started a little bit. How are you doing, Phyllis, Umberto? You guys are added on. There's a small group today, probably, I would assume. Or who else added on? How are you doing? How are you doing, Umberto?
Very good. I am just working in the latest homework,
Okay.
coloring, and I have to finish for this in this week. The test is this week, right?
Yes. So this week is the last week to finish up. It comes rapidly by Friday, and it's not the weekend. You have to be very careful. It's Friday for some reason. They close it Friday midnight, and midnight means 11:59, which I had to learn the hard way myself because I messed it up, and I'm still running behind that class to get my badge for whatever I was doing. So be careful about that. Obviously, if something goes really raunchy, you get me a shot and text, and we'll figure out what to do. But don't leave the text till the last minute.
Okay. No.
Okay. Make sure you don't leave the test. The test is 3 hours. You have 3 hours to do the test.
Oh.
And I want to go through the test material right now as today's class. I don't usually review the last 2 chapters from last week unless you guys have questions because I don't have them on the test. So I usually spend the time to go through what's on the test. But it shouldn't be really that hard of a test. So but don't wait till the last minute because of technology stuff. And then the other thing that needs to be really solidly in are all the questions after the material, because all of that stuff, as you probably have noticed, is self-graded in the background. So when the Canvas closes, I have no access to giving it to you and so forth and so forth. So then we have a problem with that, or it gets very cumbersome. So please be aware of those. If you have something left over, like a lab or like a coloring thing, I can let you send it in through Sunday morning till noon, because I do the grading in the afternoon, and you just send me a screenshot over text.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Because that you can just send me a picture. You can't send it through Canvas anymore, but I can, I always, obviously, I hope, that's almost clear. I go through all the stuff and see how who's doing in terms of the class. Now, when the grade, like what's missing, I got to go back to the discussion, see who added on work and who I missed. And then I go through all the grade book as well. The ones who are doing just fine and are safe in the A group already. Sometimes I don't go back through all of their stuff because we're already finished up and we know what we got going. Because the grading really is done mostly, except for the tests, mostly about completion or not completion of what we're asking, right? And so that's going to be probably okay. So if you have a grading problem with the Canvas, the way it portrays it, just text me and reach out to me. But after, not, well, I mean, I'm just going to start grading some of the people now. Some of the people took the final already. But after, you taking the final, give me a little time and then you can ask me about the grade. Definitely after Sunday, you can ask me for the grade, and I text it to you. So that way you don't have to wait till it shows up on Passport or on the school site. Anyway, that's that for that. Any questions? Umberto, any questions to that, or Phyllis or Elisa? Hi, Elisa.
So if we do all the questions or whatever, do you want us to just let you know so that you know where to go back and look?
No, the questions, if you do them, you're fine. You just have to make sure you don't do
them after Friday.
After Friday, you can't get in.
Okay,
that's the problem. That's the problem. All of a sudden, Friday midnight, you can't see the class anymore.
And so, is it midnight on Pacific time, or is it midnight right on Central Time, because the one we used to work on was Central Time.
No, it's this time.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
no,
good. No.
no. And I think I do. You should be able to have access to the class afterwards, because I did check mark that you can see the content later on, but you can't do any of the test stuff later on. But I'm not totally sure if that works or that doesn't work. Sometimes those things are a little goofy with Canvas. And it's hard for me to know how the student sees it versus how I see it, because I see it as the teacher. But I was, so anyway, just don't be shocked if things are gone or something. And but be aware of the hard deadline, Friday night, 11:59 Pacific time. Probably from your phone or something. All right, so that's that. And what we can do today is what I'm thinking we should do is go through the test review quickly and see if there's no other questions coming up. So because we did everybody who I've listened to in terms of the presentation did a fantastic job. I'm going through the dialogue or the discussion right now, and I also like some of the feedback that I'm seeing. So for as a whole class, you guys, it's really been a very nice pleasure to work with you and see your progress and especially in the presentations. I've not been able to spend previous semester with that much feedback, and this semester I've been spending a little more time on that because everything else works smoother. And I'm really impressed with all your work and how you guys improve on when I give you feedback and how you work with it. So that's, take that, especially if you haven't done presentations in the past and haven't been exposed to that, that's one of those fundamental things that you just need to do in college. And it's something that makes us a little nervous but it's also something we get better with doing it. And when I get nervous about something, I always told myself, well, I still do. At least half of the crowd who's also doing it is the same nervous as me, so it's not that bad. Or shy or so. But you guys have done a really great job, and so take that skill with you where you go next. That I wanted to say that about the presentations because that's sort of the main project at the end to finish up. In terms of the test 3, I have this review tab here that I showed you before. We have this review here, which is everything other than the anatomy terms. So this is everything other than the labeling exercise terms. And on here, we have everything that we talked about in each chapter that is on the test. So either have this available as a printout, ideally, or on a different device other than the test, or at least something you can skip around. Again, the test is 3 hours. You do have time to do those kind of things. It's 65 questions to test. I have a lot of the first 25 questions come from this review. And so if you understand all these bullets, like if you understand that a EKG tracing is what is the P wave? That's atrial depolarization. What's the QRS complex? That's ventricular depolarization. What's the T wave, etc. Ventricular. That if you know all of those dots, all of those bullets, then you be good for the test. So as a review, before you take the test, make sure you go through these pages. We have immune system, we have blood is pretty big. Immune system, look, immune system is not that big. That's pretty small. I sort of put in what I'm using on the test, the highlights, so to speak. Then the endocrine system is fairly big, but it's mostly what is which gland doing. And so you have the essence of what I wanted to know for the test on these bullets. Skin's small. And then we get into the nerve a little, the anatomy, and then the brain is all anatomy, basically. The brain, I don't use much physiology on this because this is more the physiology stuff. And then respiratory, we finish up with digestion, urinary system, not that many things to keep here. Look at that unary system. I have 2 bullets basically. So as before you take the test, you go through these, you make sure you understand all that's written down here. If you don't, you go back to the material, the lecture, and go through the material and understand it. And then after that, you're set for the first 25 questions of the test. Those are the written, so the questions, the multiple choice and true, false. Is that sensible for you guys? Anybody feedback? Hello.
Yes.
Okay, so that's cool. You go with that, huh? Because then the second thing that we got going, and those are the questions 26 through 65. So that's the majority of everything, is all the terms that we've been coloring and labeling. And so now they're all on one list, and you probably have that list by now, especially if you came to the lab, you have that list for sure in your hand by now. Also, obviously, print it out or have it available. On this one, when it's actually used to be in class, I had the students be allowed to have a cheat sheet on the back side of that. And so everybody has little notes on it. So, that's, you don't really have to do that in this situation because you have plenty of time. Because what I've done with this part of the test, instead of like test 2, filling it in with your writing or typing, on this test, you basically have to pick and choose from a multiple choice set of four answers. And so that's much simpler, if you want to call it simpler, but much more easy to take than having to type it out. Plus, you should get a proper grading right at the end, and I don't go through this test again myself unless you have questions, and then of course you reach out to me, because if you don't have to type it in, there's no misspellings and all that. Then this on the review here, I have videos that go through all of those tests. So this is like 30 minutes of videos or so. It's not that long, 12 minutes, 10 minutes, and then 14. So 6 minutes of videos. What I would do is, before you take the test, is you go through these videos, and I did caption them, thank God. We go through these videos, and you have the term list next to you, or on a device, or whatever, however you want to do it, and make sure you know where all those terms are. And then if you know that, you should be set for the test on that front as well. And I mean, there's plenty of times you can even go back and forth inside the video when I discuss about in the test these organs. I've organized everything in that respect. It's also, the test is also in sequence. It's not all scrambled up, because we don't want to make it harder. I want to make this be sort of a final time of you going through the material, and then, if you have some questions still left, maybe you pick them up here, because especially if it's multiple choice with the body parts, you're probably going to be able to pick out which one it is. And then this is just pictures of the models that I use in the video, so I'm not so sure that's necessary to go through those, especially since it's multiple choice and you don't have to fill in the blanks. Anyway, so that's how I would do this whole review, spend a couple of hours doing that, or maybe a few more, depending on how much you've been working through the semester. It should all at this point be fairly self-explanatory, I think, with all the video material, and otherwise you tell me, but that's sort of been the gist of what people tell me over the years. And the 2 people who took the test already, they had a really good score. So I'm thinking we're doing fine. Any questions to this, where we're at here?
So Doctor, if we have any question of when we are reviewing the material, we can send you a message for help, or if we don't understand something.
Yeah, this week is your full. I'm fully here for you guys to ask me questions and reach out. and I'm trying to do a lot of the grading today, get a lot of the questions out of the way that I have to make sure, so I can also reach out to you if I have questions, or if if it's like, finish up this and that and then you're finished or something like that, or especially if it's earlier in the semester and people might have forgotten. I want to make sure I go, hand by hand through it and make sure I check everything.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and material wise, if some of these bullets are not clear, because sometimes my language is a little, English is not my first language, so it's been over the years I gotten better, I think. But I started this stuff a long time ago. So if something is a little weird, just reach out. We'll make sure it's clear. I'm your coach here. I'm not your, I'm not here to make you suffer too much, hopefully. Although I shouldn't say that at the end of the semester, because I've already done it to you. Well, anyway, that's about really all I have a plan to discuss. I think anything that you guys have in terms of leftover, what you want to talk about. Hello.
So the test material is all of the previous weeks that we already went over, right? It's mostly the stuff that we've done over the last few weeks.
Except for last week. And so the urinary, it gets smaller and smaller, as you've seen here with the test review. If we go back into the review real quick, I use less and less material at the end. Like digestive is still, but then look at urinary, I only use 2 things here. I only use the main points. I don't, because when we get into how the liquid comes back in with that salt discussion we had last week, which is very interesting, but it gets quite tricky for people very fast. But it's very difficult to understand, especially the first time going through the material. And so I use less of that because that becomes a little more difficult. And then I don't use any material from repro, from embryo, because that's the last sort of stuff and people just get through it, and some people haven't done it yet because they're running a little behind of that.
Okay.
So I'm not concerned about that. And the embryo is well, actually I think it's part of the material, but it's not in every textbook covered like that. But I felt it's very important that we know about the stuff, especially if we're going to have our own kits. And some of you guys probably going to have some kits. I don't know if you have yet, depending. Especially the guys need to know about the stuff because they're usually oblivious, All right. Anybody else?
Oh, yeah, it's 3 hours the test, right? And
you have 3 hours. You don't.
We have 3 hours.
Yes, you don't need to use all the 3 hours.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So let me. Yeah. No, I want to just give you enough time. It should take you an hour. The people who took it so far, it took them an hour or less. So don't be too worried about that. All right, Sonara, I see you have a question in the chat. Hello.
Yes, hi, Professor. I wanted to know, just because I'm playing a little catch up here. So, is our final primarily focused on the reproductive organs or all the content of book 6?
Are you looking at the screen, or you just with the audio? Because
I'm looking at the screen right now.
See the test review here?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Everything I need to know.
You want to make sure you understand all these bullets. They're all spelled out, so you don't need to memorize anything. You just need to understand them from all the booklets. or from all the material. If you
Thank
don't
you.
go back to the material and then fill in your gaps with understanding them, if you understand all of those bullets, you're set for the test from the booklet materials perspective, like the physiology parts perspective. So it's not just booklet 6, it's actually booklet 4 through 6, right? So it's a lot of material. That's why I synthesized it all on these 5 pages.
Thank you.
So that's one play. Make sure you utilize that. Otherwise, it should be still all right, but it's a lot of stuff. And I don't do anything from embryo from reproduction. So there's nothing from them, because we just did that. So you don't have to worry about that part. Then the second part of the test, so there's 2 parts of the test. The first is that physio, that's 25 questions. That's the material we just looked at. And then the second part is question 26 through 65. And that's from this list, which is the coloring and labeling. So these are all the terms from coloring and labeling, which you have because you came to the lab. You have this list somewhere in your material. Otherwise, just print it out or have it handy in an electronic format. And then that material is best studied sort of at the end, to study it again or to finish up the study and make sure you have all the gaps filled in by going through these. I think by going through these videos, there's like a 35 so minutes of videos that go through all the terms, and I point to them on the models that I use in the test. So that's a good preparation from that perspective, especially if you got the list handy and you correlate it with the videos. And then those questions are not like the second test where you had to fill them in. Those questions are multiple choice. So you have four answers and you pick one. So it should be much easier to take it that way. And the whole test is 65 questions. I give you 3 hours. So you, even if you're like not sure about something, you have enough time to even go and reference back with the videos to make sure you have it right. So make sure you take your time. So it should be an exercise of going through the material again versus me just testing your knowledge that you memorized.
Thank you. Okay.
So that's very important.
Attainable and doable. Thank you.
Yeah, it should be. No, it should be a nice experience. You guys done such good work with all your pathology project and all of that. You've done plenty of good work. This should be an easy cruising situation here. And if not, you tell me. And lynch me later on about it. All right. Well, that's good. Any questions? Any other questions? Seems hopefully fairly straightforward. I had a test review with Merced that they could go and ask all the questions on Zoom on Tuesday. They didn't even want it to meet. Everything was clear to them. I was like, great. They probably had enough of me watching all those videos my whole semester long. So anyway, because that's all I have basically. And did you guys like the semester? You learned something?
It was very informative.
Okay, good. You feel like
it's a lot to learn, but I mean, how else can you possibly, learn this much unless you go through it?
Yeah, no, and I hope, I think it is a lot. But again, like I said before, from a perspective of depth, you've got quite a bit of depth. Even if you go to the higher classes, you might not have all the detailed terminology for everything, but conceptually, I tried to make it as complete as I can think of making it, so the story is understandable and not, not too crazy. But it's a lot of material. But I hope, my mission of my purpose is to teach you guys, so when you go to the doctor or when you deal with your body, you have a much better awareness and understanding of what this body does and how it works, and maybe have some insights that help you in your own medical decisions, but also in your decisions or family or friends can reach out in terms of like, health stuff, or like, that neuroplasticity stuff, for example. That's some, that's some very modern thinking. So if you tell people that, I'm very surprised how often people go like, oh my God, I never had an idea that it works like that. And so, you're part of.
It definitely accomplished that. It definitely accomplished, getting a better,
Good.
if nothing else, just a general understanding.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, you're now part of the knowing crowd. So you can be very proud of you guys having put all that material into your brain cells. And keep stuff like that, whatever you did, however you structured this, as reference. Don't just throw it away, okay? Even though we're sometimes tempted to like just ditch it because we're all done now with it. But this stuff is some of this stuff is material that you can pull from a lifetime, because when you twist your ankle or so, you want to look at what happened, because you may be able to help, because you could maybe massage it, or I don't know, but keep it around, keep that stuff handy. Good. So that is good for me. I'm good with it. I'm going to go do my work, finish up. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out, especially now finishing up this week. And
well, thank you for everything. It has been very, very enlightening.
Good.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Was very good. Even was deeper, not just as general knowledge, very practical. The way that you teach us, it was very excellent. It was excellent. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And also, I'm really enamored how you made all these videos. Humberto made for all the color labeling. He made videos. Very good. Very good.
That was Humberto you told us about. Good job.
Nice.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Thank you to you.
I wanted to give a special applaud out, because it's
shout out.
Yeah, no, it's great when you can reach into creativity a little bit, what we have. If or our own way, it's actually really about that. It's about our way of studying. Learning should be a positive experience, not just some negative, squeezing material into that head and going against, what our nature is. We should find our ways, especially if we're starting college and try to figure out what we want with our professional life. It's important to focus on what are we good at, and also how are we taking information in, and what do we like? Because you're going to spend the rest of your life doing something at some point once you have a job. Well, not maybe the rest of your life these days, but quite some years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's my little pep talk of today, and with that, I think we're good. Oh, and if you like the class, go to Rate My Professor and give me a rating.
Will you send us out the link?
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I'll text it out.
Okay.
And then I think it's also on the last module somewhere, under congratulations or something. But I'll definitely text it out. I always text it out. Good. Okay. Well, we can close it out.
Well, nice to virtually meet everybody. Good luck.
I know, right? Thank you. And yes, thank you for being part of coming to the Zooms and interacting. That way I don't just have a monologue.
Right.
And also, I also wanna take a shout out to Quintosha and Phyllis too, how you guys tackled the class, and especially the pathology project was fantastic.
Yeah, that was great.
Proud of you guys, how you worked with the material. Really cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, they're both saying thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope you learned something. And let me know how I can make it better, so maybe people from your community more can take the class, because I think we're trying to make it so it is accessible to everyone in the community.
Yeah, thank you so much for making it accessible for us. And thank you so much for your patience and your support, providing and interpreting, and all of your encouragement. This is Phyllis saying that. Thank you so much. And for Josh just adding, yeah, it was challenging, but the way you taught us gave us a lot of visuals, taught us through visuals, helped us understand and learn so much more.
Good. Yeah, and it was so much fun when you were in lab. You were going to town, you Mrs. Surgeon over there, huh? All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. And I wish you guys a really nice summer and stay in touch. Don't get out of touch. All right.
Professor Mullinghouse.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.